Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Yarns with Andy. Today, I've got a legend in our midst, a man who needs very little introduction, an ex-comedian, current mental health advocate, New Zealander of the Year 2019, a king by nature, and a king by name. Welcome, my king.
Thank you, brother. If you think I'm a legend, you need to get out more.
What? Mate, you're absolutely, truly a fucking legend.
No, we just, bro, well, that's for other people to decide, typical Kiwi.
I'm deciding that.
Well, I don't,
I look up to you, Mike.
I'm glad you said that because one of the big problems that I've had my whole life is I've never felt like I'm good enough. So everyone else goes out there and focuses on the great things that they've done. I don't remember any good things I've ever done. I only remember the bad shit. If you complimented me on a wall that I painted, oh, wow, that's so amazing. You could be a painter. I'm looking at the wall going, yeah, I didn't cut it properly over there. Should have sanded that back better. Yep. The colors don't match over there. I'm a shit painter. That's a shit paint job. That's my nature, and that's always been my nature,
So you remember the bad, but you don't remember the good?
Always.
How do you survive?
But I just keep pushing until,
How do you stay in a happy mind space then?
No, after this talk, I guarantee you, when I leave here, I will go back and review everything that I have said with you and go, how did you fuck that up? What did you say that for, dumbass? Right. That's my nature. Even growing up, like I don't remember any happy memories. Growing up, everything, I just focus on all the bad stuff. And about 6 years ago, I was with my dad in Christchurch, and he rang me up and he said, I rang him. I said, what are you up to, Pop? And he went, fucking hospital called. I've got to go and see them at the hospital. And I was like, what are you doing? He goes, I was mowing my fucking lawn, so they don't want to go and see me. And I was on my way to a talk. And so I'm driving down the road and I'm thinking, hospitals don't ring up with good news.
Yeah.
They don't, hey, you're great.
It's just like when you receive a letter. Yeah. It's always a fucking bill.
Yeah, so I rang up and I said, rang him back. I rang up the gig and I said, hey, look, I've just had some news and I can't make it. I rang him up and I said, hey, Pop, I'm on my way back. He said, I'm waiting for a cab. I go, cancel the cab. I'm on my way back. I thought you had to talk. And I went, yeah, they cancelled. Oh, those fucking assholes out there. And I'm like, don't worry about it, Pop. I'm going to pick you up. And we went into the hospital, and he was diagnosed terminal.
Oh, no.
And we're sitting there, and I'm like, wow, And as we were walking out of the room, I looked at him and went, that's good news, eh, Pop? And he goes, what the fuck are you talking about? They just told me I'm going to die. I've got maybe 2 weeks to 4 months left. They told me I'm going to die. And I go, yeah, but you could have dropped dead of a heart attack. And I wouldn't have got to spend any time with you, Yeah. So however long you've got left, I'm going to spend as much time as I can with you. And it's going to be awesome for me. It's going to be shit for you, but suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah, it's great that you saw the positive.
Yeah. And he cracked up laughing and I cracked up laughing. Well, I actually got about 9 months with him. And over the next 9 months, we would sit around and he would tell me about things that I have no memory of. Because remember when you're 12?
Yeah.
And I got you that bike. And I remember the bike.
Yeah.
Like back in those days, the chopper was the bike.
Was it?
Banana seat, sissy bar, 3 gears, fat tires. And my old man bought me the equivalent of the warehouse chopper. No gears. It was
the cheapy version.
Yeah, it was a cheap version, know. And he goes, remember when I got you there? Yeah, Pop. Yeah, I'm trying to stay up. Yeah, I remember that, Pop. Yeah, I remember. He said, remember when I took you out to show it? And I went, like, I have no memory. And I would say, yeah, I remember. And I took you to the garage. Yeah, no clue. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. And I opened up the garage door and you saw the bike and you started crying and I started crying. And I have no memory of this, right?
Yeah, right.
But I'm looking at my dad and tears are streaming down his face. And I'm like, holy fuck, where did that memory go? Yeah. And then he showed me photos of us when I was a kid and me laughing and holding up a fish. So this is just how I think, I've always thought like that.
But you said you remember the bad, right? And so help us talk through. You've been very open about your past. That you've gone through depression, a series of mental health issues. How has all of those experiences shaped your advocacy towards mental health and where you are today with
Great
Arnold?
question. That's the first time anyone's ever asked me that question. So that's a great question. So when back in the day when as a kid growing up, I want to go back to as a kid growing
Yes,
up. As a
please.
kid growing up, I always wanted to be famous. And,
yeah?
and yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids today want to be famous. And,
Yep.
Parents look at that thinking, oh, they're just watching YouTube and they want to be. The reason I wanted to be famous was because I didn't think I was good enough. Other kids were better than me. They were faster. They were stronger. They were academically more gifted than I was. So I used to constantly bully myself. You're useless. You're hopeless.
So
You're
you internalize things.
yeah, and the inner critic. And I was always looking for something to be famous at rugby, whatever it was. I was a great starter of projects, and even if I was better than average, if I couldn't be champion of the world, I just quit. Which used to piss my dad off because he's like, once you start something, you got to see it through to the end. And I'm like, what's the point, Pop?
Yeah.
I can't be the best at it, so I'm not going to fucking waste my time on that.
Yeah.
Then when I was 8 years old, a mate of mine told a joke and it fell flat. And a group of the popular kids were there and they started to humiliate my mate and they were trying to get him to tell the joke again so they could laugh at him. As they were doing that, I jumped in and I told the joke. I told exactly the same joke.
Right.
Only this time, everyone cracked up.
Right.
And that was the first time I realized that I could be the best in the world at something. Just
comedy.
And once they laughed, I immediately took their laughter as a sign that they liked me.
Yeah, right.
So,
so that was the feeling of belonging for you.
Yeah, so that was
right.
day one of my comedy career. But it was also day one of my downfall because that was the first day that I started to get my self-esteem from the approval of other people. So my drive was to be a famous comedian. Of course, when I told them, what do you want to do when you leave school? Oh, I want to be a comedian.
Yeah.
Fuck. No one wants to fucking pay money for a clown. You've got to get a trade. You've got to get a trade. So I'm actually a London City and Guilds qualified chef.
All right.
Judith Tabron, who's just opened up a new restaurant. She's the past owner of Soul Bar.
Yeah, I know Soul Bar.
Yeah,
They do amazing branding.
Yeah, so she's in the Chef Hall of Fame. Her and I were at the same cooking class together. So I got that, and then, I fell into the comedy. But I always wanted to be famous. Not for the fame. I wanted to be famous because people like famous people.
Yeah,
people love famous people. You don't
relatable.
hear about all the shit that they get, but and famous people have money. Now, money's not everything, but money is choice. And I always imagined that if I ever got rich and famous, these metaphorical golden gates would open. There'd be a ticker tape parade down Queen Street. I'd be in the back of a convertible waving to everybody. Crowds would be cheering. That's what I thought fame was. And all my insecurities would just disappear. Well, what happened was I got famous. Those metaphorical gates opened and there was my big head going, you're still a fucking loser. And when your dreams of a cure for your insecurity are blown away, bad shit happens. The only way I can describe it is when people think winning lotto is going to change their life.
I've never met a successful lotto winner.
That's right.
life.
So for me, that's when the drug addiction and the alcoholism really, really took off for me. So, from that moment, so I've got trust issues even around confidence.
Right.
And rejection issues of confidence.
Yeah.
So, people see
Mike,
me
I'd
on.
have never picked that about you.
Well, that's it.
So, do you know the amount of research I've done about you? I'm like, that's the one thing I would have never picked about you. You do not have confidence.
So I'm an introvert.
You got to be kidding me.
No, I'm an introvert
Right.
who is a master of being an extrovert.
Right.
Why? Because introverts are made to feel like there's something wrong with them. Come on, Andy. Everyone else is out there playing with everyone. Look at you. You've got to get more outgoing, Andy. You're not going to make any friends if you're not outgoing. I hate meeting new and interesting people. Why? I have rejection issues.
Right.
And I don't like who I become when I feel like I'm being rejected. For example, in the world, this is a human behavior thing, right?
Yep.
There are two types of people when it comes to rejection. There are those who go inward and blame themselves. Why doesn't anyone like me? It's not fair. I'm a good person. You could almost hear them thinking, people just got to know me. It's not fair.
Yep.
Like everyone knows that guy, right? We all know someone like that. I'm not that guy. I'm type B. Oh, you don't like me, Andy? Fuck you. I hate you more.
Yep.
Now, here's the irony. There are more type Bs in the world than there are type As.
Right.
But how we treat these two groups of people is completely different, right? With
Okay,
Mikey
tell me more.
type A, we're inclusive. Hey, guys, come on. Mikey's a good guy when you get to know him. When you have the footy at your house, Andy, invite Mikey. Good
Yeah,
bugger when
we
you get
need
to
to
know
include
him.
him. He needs to be part of the cohort. Yeah, sure.
But Mikey type B, you're a bad person. You're a bully. That shit has to stop. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bully. I've got rejection issues my whole life.
Are you seeing that with the youth in this country?
Oh, yeah. But
Quite
my whole
significantly?
life, I feel like I am rejected. I'll get to the youth.
Yes,
right?
yeah, sure.
The whole life, I feel like I'm rejected. So I smile.
Yeah.
And I'm, hey, how you going, brother? Good to see you, cuz you
Yeah.
love that top, my bro. I'm that guy. But what I'm actually doing is I'm scoping the room for rejection. And if I see a hint of rejection in your eyes, I have to reject you before you can reject me.
That's
Not because I'm a bad person.
Is that self-defense then?
Yeah, of course. The worst thing anyone can do is reject me.
Yeah.
If you reject me, like I lose that little slither of self-esteem that I've got left. Now, kids today, imagine you're a kid today living in a perfect fucking world, right?
Yep.
So as fathers, people watching this, right? We were taught, people in the construction industry, to be a man, protect your children.
Yep.
Provide for your children.
Yep.
Give your kids a better opportunity than you have, and never show fear. Not weakness. I don't know where weakness came from. It is never show fear, because fear creates uncertainty. Well, look at those. Protect, provide, give your kids a better opportunity. That's work. That is work. That's why men work so hard. We're always out there and we're doing these things. And we're never home for those three. That's why we make better grandparents than we make parents, because we're protecting, we're providing. So we're constantly reminding our kids of the fantastic stuff we do. I did this and I did that and I did that. And we never show fear, so we've got our mask on all the time. Now imagine you're a kid.
Yep.
With an inner critic who's telling them, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Seeing this perfect father, this perfect mother, and in their mind, I'm never going to be as good as you. I'm never going to be as good as you. You are better than me. I come home from school. I tell you about 5 things happened a day. 4 are amazing, 1's bad. What do you focus on? What do you mean you failed that maths test, Andrew? I told you on Thursday. I said, but oh no, you had other ideas. You and your stupid fucking friends on your stupid devices. Now look what happened. You failed, didn't you, Andy? You failed. Look, if you don't pull your finger out, mister, you're not going to go to university. You know what you're going to do? You know what you're going to do, Andy? You're going to be doing a fucking podcast. That's what you're going to be doing. And that's the world our kids live in.
Anyways, Mike, I want to talk a little bit about construction, right?
Yep.
So if you see the entire construction industry, it's filled with it's obviously a male-dominated industry.
Yep.
But you see statistics prove that the most amount of suicides happen in construction in correlation to any other industry. Why do you think that is, Mike?
Well, it's a culture.
Culture in construction.
It's a culture. So mental health has really come to the fore.
Yep.
And people want to talk, but no one wants to go first, And whenever anyone comes onto a construction site, they usually take a prescriptive approach.
Yep.
Here's what you're doing wrong. Here's what you got to do to fix it.
Right.
And if you're sitting there and
listen
someone's telling you, you go, fuck you.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are fucking coming in here, Mr. Shiny Shoes and your fucking pie graphs and your fucking, just fuck you. That's
100%. Like I'd sit down there and go, have you actually been boots on the ground, worked with me, shoulder to shoulder?
Yeah. So what I do is I take a descriptive approach, and I give my journey, which is a normal journey through mental health, but maybe 100-fold.
Yeah.
So everyone has self-doubt, my self-doubt. So everyone has a normal inner critic, where we have doubt. My inner critic's a crying newborn baby with colic. screaming hateful messages 24/7. So I turned to drugs and alcohol, and getting wasted was like going into the lounge and just kicking back. Yeah, baby. I can still hear the baby crying, but fuck, I'm wasted, man. It's all good.
You zone out.
Yeah.
Ignore.
Problem with that is a buzz only lasts 8 or 9 hours.
At best.
Yeah, then I've got to go into the bedroom, the baby's crying louder, and I've got a headache. So I've got to get wasted again, and I've got to get wasted again. It's called the relentless pursuit of temporary happiness. And that can take many forms. It can be golf, it can be the gym, it can be drugs, alcohol, porn, you name it. I mean, these are all gambling. These are all the relentless pursuit of temporary happiness. So I share my story of my battles and allow men and women to recognize themselves in my journey. Go, fuck, that's me. That's me. That's me. And then I give them a compelling reason to change. Men need a compelling reason to change. Why? Because if I change on my own, I might get called weak. I might get called, a fag, whatever names.
It's not peer acceptable.
No.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I flip it round and show them the effect that our staunch attitude is having on our kids. If you're a kid and you're living in a world where your old man's staunch and you feel like if I went and approached him and talked about it, I'll probably get rejected. I'll probably get told to toughen up because my dad has
Pop a concrete pill, son. Get on and fucking move. Get a move on.
He has succeeded in everything.
Yeah.
For example, 40% of kids in school will have a suicidal thought before they leave school, right? 40%.
Wow, is it that high?
Whoop-de shit. You've had a suicidal thought, Andy. 100% of people watching this thing, you've all had thoughts. If you haven't left your house at least once in life going, what's the fucking point? You're living in a marshmallow.
I've had.
Of course you have. We all have.
Yeah, I have.
We all have in some
not
form
regularly, but probably once
in some
or
form
twice.
or another, right? The stat that should scare the shit out of men and women watching this, 80% of suicidal kids never reach out and ask for help. And the reason they never reach out and ask for help, because they're worried about what we are going to think. They are worried about what we are going to say, and they are worried about what we are going to do. And the number one reason kids don't talk to their parents about their suicidal thoughts isn't because, they're aliens, they don't like me, they're always punishing me. The number one reason kids don't talk to their parents about their suicidal thoughts is, the one thing they say to me, I don't want to hurt them.
Hurt the parents.
The child is saying, I can't tell my parents because I don't want to hurt them. If I tell my parents, they will blame themselves. My mum and dad have worked so hard for me to give me everything I want. I can't go to them and say your reward for all your hard work is I don't want to be here. Now think about that. Really think about that. This is the selfish generation.
Wow.
This is the generation that only ever fucking think about themselves and don't. They would rather die than tell you they are thinking about dying. And that's fucked up.
That is fucked up.
And what's our solution? What's our solution, Andy? What do we tell kids when they're in trouble? Hey, if you're having suicidal thoughts, reach out and ask for help. Are you shitting me? I've just told you I'm scared of sharks, and your solution is, hey, go swim with some sharks, and a dolphin might come along. Why the fuck do we continue to put pressure on our most vulnerable? People on our work sites who are pretending that they've got their shit together. Why do we tell them to make the first move? Shouldn't it be those of us in a good place?
Yeah.
What are we doing
to
make it okay for these people to ask for help? Now, think about this, Andy.
Yeah.
If 40% of kids in this country have a major crisis associated with some type of suicidal thinking, whether it's one-off thought, whether it's recurring thought that grinds them down on a daily basis, everyone who's watching this must have been approached by at least 5 kids who said, hey, uncle, hey, auntie, hey, bro, I'm having these thoughts. Can I talk to you about it? And most people who are watching this have never had that happen. And if you've never had that happen, you need to go home and look in the mirror and say to yourself, what is it about me that makes me unapproachable? And it's not because you're not good people. Everyone who's watching this is a good person.
Yeah, I mean, you don't wake up in the morning and turn around and say, I want to do a shit job at work.
Yeah.
You turn around and say, I want
But
to do a good job and I want to be a great parent, right?
but
What can I do differently to be a great parent?
what is it about me
Me, yes.
that makes me unapproachable? And it's simple. You haven't made yourself vulnerable. You're constantly wearing this fucking perfect mask and pretending you've got your shit together. I get approached every day, and I'm no better than anyone. Every fucking day, at least 10 times, via email, phone call, on the street. People talk to me, and not because I'm any kind of fucking genius. It's because I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm open.
You put yourself out
I
there.
put myself out there so they know I've traveled the journey. And, hey, Mike, when this happened, what did you do? It's a question. And, they're not directly asking for themselves, but they're directly asking for themselves. So I make it about the kids so men have a compelling reason to change, right? So if anyone comes up and questions, we go, fuck, bro, why are you doing that for?
Yeah.
I'm doing it for my fucking kids. You got a problem with that? Oh, fuck, I didn't know you're doing it for your kids, bro. So how's it working out? Fuck, me and my kids got a great relations. Oh, what do? I do this. Oh, fuck, I might give that a shot.
Yeah. All right.
Break.
Everything that you told me so far, I'm questioning my parenting skills, right?
And we should.
I really am. I'm sitting here. I'm throwing myself out here, being vulnerable. I'm questioning my parenting skills, and I know I'm going to impact my children's lives one way or another in their first 10 years of life, which is going to live with them for the rest of their lives. What can I do to be a better parent?
Well, first off, focus on the positives.
Yep.
I get so many fucking parents coming to me. My kids are little shit, and they're always doing this, and they're always doing that, and I just want to give them a good hiding. Now, what parents don't understand is if your kid is having a tantrum, they are not rebellious. They believe they are in a safe environment. They believe that they can do this because you have created an environment where they can express themselves openly without fear. So that's a gift. That's great parenting. And I guarantee you when your kids are at other people's houses, they're fucking little angels.
100% my kids are.
Yeah, that's because you're a great parent. So they act out in front of you to test boundaries.
Right.
That's their job. So if your kid, your 6-year-old's having a crack at you and they're throwing themselves on the floor, don't stand over them. Lie on the floor. Get underneath them. So because as soon as you're going, even in a kind voice, you're standing over me. You're not an equal. So just lie on the floor and just don't look them in the eye. Just lie on the floor and go, I understand, baby. I understand. The same thing happened to me. And they'll be spazzing out and then all of a sudden they'll go, what the fuck is going on here? Don't make eye contact because as soon as you make eye contact, they've got to go again.
Yeah.
So it's about learning. Now, there's only one rule to being a great parent.
Come on.
Find out what your kids are passionate about.
Right.
Then use your connections to do everything in your power to get them paid for it for the rest of their life.
I'm Indian. You don't need to tell me that twice.
Yep. If you do that, job done. Now, the key is, Andy, don't let your perception of the job that they want to do get in the way. Tristram came home the other day. He wants to be a truck driver. He's not going to be a truck driver. Well, he's going to be a brain surgeon. He's going to university. Just shut the fuck up, lady.
Yeah.
You think a truck driver is driving a truck. In 20 years' time, that little fucker could own the whole trucking company.
Agreed.
But your narrow-mindedness, you're not seeing the opportunity. You're seeing a rebellious kid that should be in this glamorous job. And I guarantee you the owner of a trucking company is going to have more money than a fucking brain surgeon every day of the week.
Or he's going to be happier.
So that's our job.
Yeah, I fully agree. When I
Now-
was a kid, I got presented with two options, right? I either become an engineer or a doctor.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean-
I'll never impose that on my children going forward. Now,
you know why
knowing
there's
I
so
know
many.
what I
You know
know.
why there's so many miserable people in the world, and you know why there's so many middle-aged men who are fucking miserable? Because they're living Plan B.
Right.
They are living Plan B. Yeah, you can do that, but you got to have fucking qualification first. Go and get this fucking qualification. So they go and be an accountant, do fucking 6 years. By the time it's 6 years over, the dream's flamed out.
Yeah.
And now you're in this fucking dead-end job. I'll have to do this now because that's the only thing I'm qualified for. Young people take risks. You can always fall back on Plan B. So stop fucking giving your kids Plan B. Focus on Plan A.
And that's the passion.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's focus on their passion.
Also, another great one as a family man, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to be vulnerable. You got to be talking about shit. Like, Andy, when you come home from work, your kids know when you've had a fuck day. They know.
Yeah.
But if you don't
to
them...
They can see it in your face.
Yeah, but if you don't talk to them about it, they become person A.
Yeah.
They become introverted, and they'll make it about them. Hey, Dad, how was your day today? Had a shit day, mate. I don't want to talk about it. Go to the fridge, get me a beer, I'll be on the couch. Now your child is walking to the fridge going, what the fuck did you do to Dad? Every time you see him, he's always upset. You must have done something wrong. You should have got better in that maths test. You should have scored 5 tries. You should have done this. You should have done that. But a simple explanation would have resolved all of that. You know, Dad, how was your day today? I had a shit day today, mate. I yelled at the boss. I blew him up. Turned out I made the mistake. I feel like a dick. But come here, mate. Come here.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Come here, mate. Gee, you always know when Dad's not right, don't you? Fuck, you're a champion. God, thank you for looking out for me, son. Now go to the fridge. Give me a beer. I'll be on the couch. Now your kid's walking to the fridge going, fuck, I helped my dad. And the most important lesson that you've given your kid in that moment is when you're stressed and you've had, explain yourself. So when your child is next upset, because you've shared with him, he will share with you. And even better, if your kid, ask your kid for advice. So, yeah, have you ever had that situation happen to you, son? In the same situation, what would you have done? Well, Dad, I would have done this and I would have done... Fuck, that's great advice, mate. I'm going to go and try that tomorrow.
That's interesting, eh?
But you've got to back up. You've got to back up.
Yeah.
Right? So when you get home the next day, you go, son, wow, I took your advice yesterday. I smacked the fucker in the head. Now we're out of a job. You've got to get a job, but way to go, buddy. Way to go.
But how many parents out there actually ask their children for advice?
Fuck all. We'll talk more after the break.
Mike, I want to talk to you a little bit about digitalization and mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We live in an age of abundance today, right? There are things I would commit to a Google search box that I wouldn't commit to my own wife or tell my own wife about.
Yeah, cool.
Yep. There's so much of data being stored. There's so much of information being collected, and hence AI is
yeah, no.
today.
So there's a problem with AI, right?
There is, agreed.
For me, you know, I mean, I've seen a couple of charities going, "Oh, we're developing an AI tool, and he can be anything. He can be black, he can be white, they can be male, they can be female, they can speak Chinese, they can me.
Cut the crap out.
No,
of
but
it.
that's cool, and there will be a small sector. Like kids with autism, maybe, you know, there'll be a small sector of people that will connect to it. But the digital age is here. And so
it's not going away, Mike.
On my Gumboot Friday platform, I've got 550 counsellors.
Yeah.
Which
is going to be 800 pretty soon.
Yeah, 800. But it's all geared up for kids.
Yep.
Right? Fuck the practitioners.
Yep.
And I mean that in a good way. Our platform is not there for you.
Yep.
We're actually passing you work. It's there for the kids.
Agreed.
So we did a lot of research around what kids want. Now, of those 500 counsellors, maybe 400 of them do online chats. Now, the reason online chats are the future, online face-to-face counseling, the reason they are the future, there is still a lot of stigma around counseling and people who are depressed or anxious to drive to a building, then go up a lift and potentially sit in a waiting room with a whole lot of other people. Can you imagine the anxiety? What do they think about me? What are they saying about me? What are they doing? So we
I've got to
need
see
to
10
set
people
them.
along the way before I actually jump out of the car, go in there. Yep, agreed.
So we need to set them up in a place where they are very comfortable.
Feel
And
safe.
what's more comfortable than your own house, your own bedroom? You're in there, you've got your laptop, you've got it open, you can see the person that is talking to you. You can make a connection with that person. And then over time, you build a relationship with that counselor. You go, hey, I'd like to see you face to face now.
Yeah.
So we're pushing hard towards online counselling because it's the language of the kids.
Agreed. Which is great.
AI is too early.
My-
I mean,
my
I know
question's
it's going to
different,
be
though.
great.
Yep.
But it's way
I have
too
a very
early.
specific question about that.
Yeah.
Right. What if we could use that search data to identify early trigger warnings?
There are no early. See, you're
I'm-
thinking like
I'm a
no.
data-driven
That's
person.
great. It's a great question, and it's
Yeah.
an obvious question.
Yeah.
What are the warning signs, right?
Yes.
So,
Because I'm committing things to a
of
search
course.
box.
So,
Right. Like, so
10 years ago, right?
Yep.
10 years ago, I decided I was going to write a book.
Right.
And so for that book, I interviewed up and down the country, all ages, people who had had lots of attempts at suicide, right? People that no longer wanted to be around. And, what I discovered was what was an early warning sign for one person wasn't for another. There was what was good advice for one person was terrible advice, potentially deadly advice for another one. What I came away from this experiment, it was 18 months. What I came away with from this experiment was there is only one sign that people are suicidal. Wait for it. When they tell you. When they tell you. Now, when someone tells you, or a young person tells you that they are suicidal, do you know what their response is? Oh, don't be silly. You've got so much to live for. You're a pretty thing. Why are you feeling like this? What about your sisters? What about... We guilt them. We guilt them, or we don't believe them. So in order to help someone, or potentially help someone who's suicidal, you have to know the subject. Now, for example, in 90% of cases, there are 3 reasons people want to take their own life.
Right.
3. Reason number 1, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
I'm in pain and I want the pain to stop.
Right.
People tell me that time's a great healer, but every day I wake up and it's worse and I just need it to stop. I don't want to die, but I can't live like this anymore. Old people, it's physical pain. Young people, it could be physical, it could be mental, it could be loss, it could be grief, but I just need... So 1, I'm hurting. 2, I'm causing hurt. I walk into rooms, I suck the energy out of the room. People look at the ground when I come in. I feel like I'm a burden to everybody. And if I wasn't here, you guys could all get on with your lives. It's quite noble, I'll be out and you'd never have to worry about me again. So 1, I'm hurting. 2,
Causing
I'm
pain.
causing hurt. 3, I want to cause hurt. You hurt me, fuck you, I'm going to hurt you. So at the heart, and that's break up shit like that, or mean things. At the heart of all suicide is hurt. These are just people who are hurting. They're not drama queens. They're not attention seekers. They're none of those other stupid, selfish, all these fucking names we give them. They are people who are hurting. And as human beings, we have a duty to help them cross that river of hurt and get them to the other side. What do we do then? Nothing. Job done. But guess what? That person that's had that experience, I guarantee you at some stage in the future, they will go back and get the next person and bring them across. and bring them across. You know,
Is this from the research that you've done from the 1,000 letters as well?
yeah, that's from 1,000 Letters. So if you want to read my report,
Yeah, you should. I highly recommend that everybody read that
yeah,
report.
it's a toilet read
great
too. You
report.
can read it while you're taking a shit. It doesn't take long, right?
Yeah,
That's a man shit, not a woman shit. They're just fucking in and out. Have you noticed that?
I know what you're saying, mate.
They just straight in, straight out. Go, well, I thought you were going for a shit. Yeah, I did. What
You mean the 20-minute shit? So he said,
Oh, bro, I'm fucking reading the newspaper. I'm sitting there. I remember when I was young, my old man was a construction worker. He used to fucking take a cup of coffee and a cigarette in there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He was like, oh, no fucking, like everyone would go, isn't that disgusting? It's my shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's mine. Whatever's
my cigarette and my
yeah,
coffee?
my shit, my cigarette. And why the coffee and the cigarette? Because coffee and a cigarette is the perfect laxative. We'll discuss more after the break, shall we, Andy?
Mike, you've been given $24 million for
Yep.
I Am Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mate, commend the government, for giving you that money. I believe in the cause. I'm a big advocate. But what are your plans? I want to hear from your mouth exactly. What are your plans with the 24 million?
Well, the worst problem, the worst thing to deal with this is I nor my charity have been given $24 million.
Right.
So it's coming in $6 million installments.
Yep.
They will deposit it directly into the KiwiSaver bank account.
Cool.
And every cent of that $6 million will go to counsellors. Once Gumboot Friday money is locked into the KiwiSaver account, the only way it can come out is with an invoice from a counsellor. So all of these people that think that I've got 20 million, and honestly, Andy, I've got an inbox full of people who are praising me, but got their hand out and they want them. We are not taking 1 cent. If I die tomorrow, if my whole operation finishes tomorrow, that money will still go to the counsellors.
That's awesome.
So we are not taking anything from it. What do we plan to do with it? So one of the most misunderstood things about Gumboot Friday is I've had all these experts come out and say face-to-face counselling has no results. Now, if you look at face-to-face counselling through the public service lens, they're right. Because in order, through the public service lens, to get counselling, a child has to first go to a doctor. They have to be diagnosed mentally ill.
By their GP first?
By their GP.
But is the GP even qualified to do that?
It doesn't matter. They just have to be diagnosed mentally ill. And that little stigma follows you around for the rest of your life. Then they go on an excruciating...
Because it's going to go on my medical records then, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you're on an excruciatingly long waiting list before finally... I mean, for example, if you've got an eating disorder, it can be out to 18 months. Guess what? Eating disorders are the fastest growing and most deadly of all mental health. More kids die as a result of eating disorders and organ failure than any other mental health illness. So they go on a fucking long waiting list.
Yeah, apparently cheese kills more people in America than anything else.
Before getting in front of an under-resourced, underpaid, stressed out mental health worker.
Yeah.
We specifically set up our service so little people can talk about little problems before they become big problems, before they become suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Now, what we've discovered is over 90% of all mental health issues start with overthinking. We also collect data, self-referred data. So when kids go onto the platform, they'll look up, I think I'm depressed. Hover on depression, a drop-down menu comes down and explains to them very simply what depression, addiction, bipolar, all of these things are. And you can refer to any of the boxes, as many as you think that you fit.
Yep.
Now, this gives the counsellor an overall view before they get there. So we can start a conversation early this way, right? And now from that data, and we've got more data than anybody out there, right? If mental health was a cake, imagine mental health's a cake, right? The bottom tier, the big tier, is anxiety.
Yep.
78% of all mental health issues start with anxiety. I think about 82% of angry kids started with anxiety. So anxiety is the foundation for mental unwellness. Tier 2, depression. Well, that's obvious. If you're anxious long enough, fuck, that's depressing.
Yep.
Tier 3,
Happy
stress.
feelings go away. Yeah.
Stress, school-related, relationship-related, work-related, communication-related, whatever it is,
Time
self-doubt.
pressure, money pressure.
That's the third.
Yeah, that keeps
Now,
going.
it's the fourth tier that's really interesting.
Right.
On the fourth tier of that cake are cupcakes. Lots and lots of cupcakes. And that could be drugs, it can be alcohol, it can be bipolar, it can be all kinds of, it could be bullying, it could be vaping is on there, cigarette smoking, all of these things. Now, it's that fourth tier that gets the problem, right? It's the problem. Why? Because to fix these ones take generational change. Whereas politicians, to prove they're doing something, we're going to halve the rate of vaping. We're going to halve the rate of vaping. So when we came in, vaping was saying, we reduced that. You've cut in half a cupcake, loser.
You forgot the big cake.
If we cut anxiety in half, if we help our kids understand where anxiety comes from and we deal with that early, if we cut that in half, we cut everything in half.
Wow.
Pretty fucking logical, isn't it?
So you're like focusing on the root cause, not on the symptoms.
Always. See, we're the country.
So you think politicians are focusing more on the symptoms? And
No.
not on the root
So
cause?
it's they're focusing on what they can do to get reelected.
Fair enough. I mean,
of course.
If I was
So
a politician, I'd do the same.
here's a typical political cycle, right? The typical political cycle is, I promise everything, we're going to come in. First year in power, they look at the fucking cupboard, and the cupboard's bare. There's no money there. So now I've got to deliver at least one thing. And I go in there and I deliver that one thing. And the last year is trying to trade off that one thing that I did. So cupcakes are the easiest way to get there.
Yeah.
You see? So
It's the lowest hanging fruit. Yeah.
and here's the other thing about our political system, right? Everyone blames politicians. Guess what? Politicians come and go. The bureaucrats stay the same. Now, what people don't realize, you know anything about the American political system?
I know a little bit. I just watched Miss
So-
Dawn yesterday.
So in America, you've got the Democrats.
Yep.
They run the country. The Republicans run the money.
Yeah, right.
Right. In New Zealand, we've got the coalition government, right-leaning government leading the country, but we've got a left-leaning bureaucracy handling the money.
Right.
What's the solution? It's simple. At every change of government, every head of every bureaucracy should have to reapply for their job. Reapply, not be fired, just part of their contract, reapply. Why? So whatever government comes in, they've got a friendly bureaucracy that can help them deliver the changes they want. And that's every part. If the Greens get in, then they should have a green leading bureaucracy so they can deliver what the people, the majority of the people who put them there wanted.
Yeah.
And it's multi-party, ACT Party, New Zealand First, Labour.
Doesn't matter who,
It should not matter.
Yeah.
But they should at least have a bureaucracy that will still hold them to account, but also enable them to deliver
On
what
their promises.
on their promises.
On their whatever they campaign for during.
Yeah. I'll let you do it this time, Andy.
More from us after the break. Mike, I've had challenges with mental health.
Yep.
You said be vulnerable.
Yep.
And this is me kind of being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone through a tough period when I started my business and ignored the family. And the hardest thing for me to do was kind of almost in twofold. One was, even talking about this is a bit difficult for me.
Of course.
And I'm doing it on camera, which is a bit more challenging. But
Just look at me and talk.
yeah, Mike. All right, I'm focused in here.
Yeah.
So the first thing for me to do was like literally ask for help. One, I didn't know. I didn't know what I was going through, but I knew I was drinking a lot.
So who did you get advice from? Did you get advice from anyone, or you just take the step?
I think it was multiple things that was happening in my life at that point in time. Oh, fuck, I'm
So did your loved ones know that something was going
Yeah,
on, or did you think you were hiding it from them?
I wasn't hiding it very well. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
So why were you drinking? Was it the same reason? See, most people think drugs and alcohol are a problem for mental health, right?
Yeah.
But for me and you, it's a solution, right? It's an escape.
It's
That's exactly what it
an
was.
amazing escape.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic, but I was
Yeah.
drinking on a regular.
But because it's like, oh, fuck, I need to feel good.
Yeah.
Not feel good, I need to forget.
It's that moment of bliss where
Yeah.
you just go,
Know it well, brother.
nerves are calm
I
now.
know it well.
Yeah. And
Cocaine.
cocaine?
That was
Yeah.
me, I love cocaine, that was my thing.
Yeah.
It just opened up a whole lot of brain cells and it made me forget and all these repressed memories of things that I didn't even know about, science classes. People would answer a question, I'd go, fuck, where did that come from?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the same thing. Yep, so you had a bit of a drinking issue. And
Not just drinking
Did
issue.
any mate come up and say, hey, Andy, man, you good?
I had a couple of people come and ask me if I was all right.
And, okay, and what was your response?
My response was, yeah, bro, I'm all good. Don't worry about it. Oh, it's defensive. of course.
Mask.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was my instant
Yeah,
response.
of course. No, fuck,
But-
I'm sweet. Fuck,
I mean-
you all right, bro. You all right.
Yeah. But the one person I couldn't hide from, though, is the person I was living with.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what I mean.
And would have yelling matches at times because one, I'd be like, fuck, this is, I'm already fucking stressed out.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
fucking putting all the stress
Yeah,
on
yeah.
me. and This is
I
too
paid
much.
the fucking bills. What more do you want from me? What more do you want from me?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it got pretty intense, right?
Yeah, of course.
It got pretty
Cool, yeah.
fucking intense. But it was really difficult for me to.
So was it an ultimatum that sent you to get help? Or was it just like, fuck it, I need help? Was it
just at a point.
journey of self-discovery, or was it an order?
It was just at a point where I went, this is not me. One day I was, I don't know, I think I was 3 or 4 vodkas down. And
Yeah,
I was just like, what the fuck you doing, Andy?
yeah.
You're yelling. I've been like, I don't yell in meetings, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm very calm. I'm very composed. I'm very strategic. I'm very methodical.
Isn't that interesting? We are so kind to strangers, people we have nothing to do with. We are so wanting to impress.
Yeah.
Even fucking dickheads that we hate. We are more polite to them than the people we love.
Fair. It's a valid point. I actually never thought of it that way.
That's what we do. We're just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Again, and it's because we think we're in a safe place.
Yeah.
We're not doing it to be malicious, but of course it is malicious to the other person.
Because my safe haven is my house.
So,
Yeah.
once you've decided, how did you pick?
I didn't pick. I put the energy out into the world and things just happened. And I met this great guy called Drew Knowles. I don't know if you know who he is.
No, I don't, but he
he's
sounds
a
like a
man's
great guy
man's
because
a
I saw the
magician.
way you lit up when you talked
yeah.
about him.
He saved my life.
Cool.
I was 100% headed for
Yeah.
some sort of chronic illness.
Yep.
He came into my life and we went up for a walk on up on One Tree Hill, and he spoke to me and we spoke, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck this guy does, but he's in here for a reason. He's in my life for a reason. And then we started working together for the next 6
You're
months.
me the same. I'm a great believer in fate.
Yeah.
Put
it out to the universe.
when you meet someone, there's a purpose behind it.
100%.
We were always due to meet at this time. It was written before we were born, Andy, that we were going to meet at this time, and we were both going to take something away from it.
Yep.
Now, there's always a penny drop moment where you go, this is the guy.
Yeah.
So what was that moment? Can you recall that moment when he said something or he did something that you went, fuck, this guy's onto it?
It wasn't what he said. It was how he made me feel.
You know that other cliche, don't you? People will never remember what you said. They will always remember how you made them feel.
100%. It was, he made me feel at ease. He didn't make me feel, it wasn't awkward.
Yep.
I could talk to him. I could relate. Kind of similar to you right now, which is kind of weird. I don't feel like there's a lot of people, but it was weird. It's just comfy. I was just like, yeah, I'm happy to let a little bit of my guard down. Not all of it. Not all of it, but a little bit. I'm happy opening up to you. But that was magical for me, right? I know that was just me sharing a little bit about
No, it's
what
cool.
happened,
You know,
what happened
so
personally.
so what you have just done there for everyone that's watching, you've demonstrated that, talking to people, complete strangers, is easy, but you have to give your whole self to the process. So one thing I learned about counseling was this. I always thought counselors fixed you, right?
Yeah,
And as a man, I'm like, fucking, we've got a broken engine, fucking fix me, fix me, fix me. And instead of saying, it's not the gearbox, I went in there, no one touched me on the cock when I was a child. That's not my problem. Fucking, wasn't abused in any way. Fucking fix me. That was my attitude going in. And I was still closed off. And in the beginning, I was only giving half the information. The
yeah,
problem with that is you can't fix, if you only give half the information, you only get half the tools. And you can't fix a broken engine with half the tools.
can't play football with a broken leg.
That's right. So what I say to people is once you're at the process and you find the right person, it might not necessarily be the first person you come across either. It's you can't just like it. It's a relationship with the person you're talking to.
100%.
You can't walk
100%.
up to some girl you've never seen before in the street, go, fuck, we're going to get married, we're going to be happy. There's a dance that has to be done first to find out but once they're the right person, you're able to open up. So now you've been through that. How did your life improve?
It's crazy. I now know how to slow things down so I can be faster. If that even makes sense.
That
Like,
makes perfect sense.
it's like before I was on a fucking V12 engine, just fucking going for gold.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, of
I just
course.
like wake up in the morning, I'd be hungover as fuck.
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares? Like straight into work. Let's go. I'm adding value, making money. This is great. I can solve problems. Like money didn't even matter to me. Like money doesn't even matter to me.
No, it doesn't.
It's more I can get up there. I can fucking solve.
Yeah,
some
it's a
problems. This is
convenience,
awesome,
right? Money
Yeah.
provides choices,
That's
and choices
awesome.
is everything.
Yeah. And all of that was great. Like, money's a byproduct of what I do.
Of course.
Which is
Yeah.
great. But it was, I'm solving problems. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm working on 8 different projects all at the same time. Felt great. But fucking just starts weighing on you ever so slowly. And you're going, can I handle all of this? It is so much of fucking stress. Exactly what you're talking about. It's that stress. It's just weighing on you. And you're like, you just get to a point, then you start getting coping mechanisms.
That's
then you
right.
get to the next step. And then
You get tools to help, right?
100%. Now I have the tools to learn and say, I need to pause.
Andy,
I need to take time for Andy. I need to take time for the kids.
Andy, I could talk to you all day, but unfortunately, we have to bring this to an end. So I'd like to
Sorry,
thank all you guys for watching Yarns with Andy, and we'll catch you again next week.
But Mike, before we wrap up, I'd love it if you actually told us a joke. Take us right back to your comedy days.
Now you see, that's a really cool. And I'll tell you why I'm not going to do that.
You're not going to do that?
No, I'll
I'll
tell you why.
All
I'll
right,
tell you why.
cool.
I'll tell you why. So I used to talk to the NRL under 20s teams, right?
Yep.
And there'd be maybe 150 young people that potentially were going to go and play in the NRL. And I would do all of these talks once a year, and I'd speak to them for an hour about the inner critic and the serious topic of mental health. And then one year, one of the NRL wellbeing teams is like, maybe this time you can finish with a joke, and I was like I had reservations, but I told the joke, and everyone laughed. And a couple of months later, one of the most talented footballers in the room took his own life, and I beat myself up for months because, in my opinion, I had shared this message that needed to be remembered, that needed to be sat with, and I fucked it all up by telling a joke, which meant they were all focused. So respectfully,
No, I fully understand that.
Yeah.
This is a serious discussion.
Yeah,
that we've had,
yeah.
a very interesting one at that. And I don't want the message to be lost. And
I
I fully
loved
understand
every
where you're coming
minute
from.
of it, Andy. You're fucking
Mate.
good at this job, bro.
No, mate, I really appreciate it. Mate. You are the fucking man. You are the legend. You are a king. Not just by name, by character, mate. You are the man.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Corneta.